You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people, good people, good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 86. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest is the founder and owner of Smokin BBQ, LLC. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'm sure we'll all be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with Chris Wellborn. Chris, how's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing, Doug? Man, how's it going?
Man, I'm good, man. Everything good your way?
Oh, good, man. Blessed, healthy. Can't ask for much more.
Yes, sir. Glad to hear that. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. I'm always willing to speak with someone who's out there trying to better our communities and put someone like the small guys on, so we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Of course, we're here to talk about Smokin BBQ, LLC. But before we go there, let's get to know the man behind the brand. What's your story?
Yeah, my name is Chris Wellborn. I grew up in a town called Eufaula, Alabama. I was raised by both my parents. I have to mention them because they are a direct product of what you hear and see today. They raised me and my two sisters in a loving environment. So I always feel I have to say something about them when I have the opportunity to. From there, I moved to Montgomery, attended Auburn University of Montgomery in the late 90s. I graduated with a degree in business, computer information systems. After graduation, I met my beautiful wife, my other half, who has pushed me and been very supportive of me and, going along starting this business venture. And who's also the mother of our two beautiful daughters, who we are very, very proud of. And right now, I also work full-time for the Air Force as a contractor, alongside running Smokin BBQ.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you sharing your story, man. So you say you from Eufaula, Alabama. What was it like growing up in Eufaula? What was that city, that culture like down there in Eufaula?
Yeah, actually, I loved it. Anybody ever been down there, it's more of a small town feeling. I'm a small town guy. Kind of everybody in the town kind of knows each other, and everybody kind of helps out one there. So it's very historic. A lot of people, drive from Georgia to Panama City, and there's a lot of the old colonial homes there. So it's very beautiful around this time of the year. You see the flowers and blooming. So, and if you're a big fisherman, we got all the fish down there that you want to catch. So I say if I didn't live anywhere else, I'll probably move back home to Eufaula, especially now since we got all this remote work going on. So if I had another place to live, it'd probably be Eufaula.
Wow, man. Yeah, man, I've driven through Eufaula en route to Albany, Georgia, passed through Eufaula and I think it's called Georgetown, Georgia.
Right on the line.
Right. So,
yeah. A lot of people go over there to play lottery tickets. So,
wow. Yeah, it makes sense. It's right there, literally right across the bridge. So I've been down that way. So yeah, so pretty much you had a tight knit village down there. Like everybody knew everybody. It was a pretty good community down there.
Yeah, it is, and that's sort of what I guess kind of inspired this business venture. Growing up, I was very entailed with family, and with family, it was nothing for my family or me and my sisters and my first cousins and my aunts and uncles and my parents. It was nothing for us to on a Saturday just go up to my grandparents' house and we all just meet and have a barbecue. And not only us but other family members in the community would also show up. And I saw then that food sort of brought people together, and that to me was it gave me the idea that hospitality and service, we're always able to serve, whether it's our family or someone else's family. And I wanted to start a business that would actually give back. So that kind of what led me to start the business I started, Smokin BBQ.
Wow, man, those some great memories, I bet, man. Just getting up on the weekend, going to see the grandparents. Ain't that like granny house, man? Like it's it's just magic when you go to Granny's house. You can't do no wrong, and Granny be in the
You're
kitchen
right.
for real. Like Granny be cooking good, and even
Yeah.
when you get in trouble with your parents, your Granny be like, "Don't be spanking my baby," and just good times, man. You know what I'm talking about? That good
Oh yeah.
old.
Yeah, my parents are like, yeah, my parents are the same way to my kids now, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh man, your kids got them wrapped around their fingers. I bet.
Yeah, they can't do any wrong.
That's amazing, man. And then you talked about moving from Eufaula coming up here to the Gump. You went to school at AUM. What was that college like for you?
Like again, man, like I say, I'm a small town guy, and back then I got to AUM in 1997. So a lot of people don't remember, but back then AUM was a relatively small school. You know, it wasn't as big as it was now. So, and it was, I always say AUM back then was like a a, a big high school you can compare to now because everybody on campus knew each other. Um, all of your instructors pretty much knew you by name because the classes, you didn't have any more than probably 30 people in a class. So it was moving from high school to AUM was actually not a big adjustment for me anyway, because their environment was not a big jump as opposed going from high school to a college with 200 or 300 students in it. And I, I wouldn't trade those college days for anything. I really enjoyed AUM.
And that makes sense. And like you were just saying, just in terms of what AUM used to be, and of course, I had no idea. Like I always thought it was what it not exactly what it is now, but I didn't know it was more like a big high school back in those late '90s. So it ended up being like a home away from home for you, if that's a fair
Yeah,
assessment.
yeah, it was. Everybody on campus kind of knew each other. It was
Mhm.
it was nothing for it to be on a Thursday night. We'll all be outside and just hanging out, sort of like we was back home, just hanging out with some of your best friends at home. So, and like I say, AEM really has. It's really not a big school right now, but it's not as big as you may say ASU or Tuskegee or some of the bigger schools of Troy State University. But back then it was really, really small. So it has changed a lot.
Yes, sir. And just overall, like, and no matter what college you attend, whether it's HBCU or PWI, like you did as well, it's always great because it ends up being a big melting pot. You got people coming from all over the South, East Coast, West Coast, the Midwest, and we all just come together on campus and we create those memories, those lifelong memories. And sounds like at AUM, y'all were tight knit, y'all were kicking it on the yard, having a good time, and develop some lifelong friendships.
Oh yeah, friendship that would never ever stop. I
Yes.
can reach out to those same guys today. We could probably pick up the phone and talk to each other like we just hung out the other day. So it's hard to find good friends like that. And honestly, I'm still the guys that I was friends with back then. I consider them friends now. So you find someone who's a good friend. You have to be appreciative of them.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So let's talk about Smoking Wells Barbecue. What products and services you offering over there?
Yeah, right now, what we're doing, we have the catering service. Our catering service, what we do there is we cater to the public, which is, we can set our food truck up and we can, go on the side of the road and set it up and people can come and just, buy from us. We set up at our church, uh, East Baptist Church on Burbank. We can find us there. Also, what we do is we have corporate catering. Our corporate catering is a little different because we market that side of our segment of our business to corporate companies, and we handle anywhere from 200 to 600 employees, feeding that many at a time. So that's another market that we recently got into, and to be honest, it's probably our busiest market because there's a lot of businesses in Montgomery, a lot of manufacturing companies in Montgomery who they may have a large amount of employees, and the HR department is looking for ways to feed them. But the people they take their break and they may only have 45 minutes to an hour, and they come up with the dilemma: okay, how do we feed this many people in that short amount of time? Where we came up with a market to where we could come up with a menu to feed a large amount of people in a small amount of time. So once the companies found out that, that side of our business really, really took off. And, we also do weddings, birthdays, any kind of special event that anyone may be having. So we relatively have like 3 segments right now, the food truck, the corporate catering, and the just the basic events that we do right now.
Good stuff, man. Y'all solving them food problems, man. That's amazing. Like you said, a lot of manufacturing plants around here, and the fact that you all were able to come in and provide that service for those short lunch breaks for those factory workers, man. That's amazing. So do you remember your first paid event? And if so, what was it? What was the event, and what were some of those feelings leading up to it?
Yeah, wow. Let me go back to my first event. I think way back. Let me see, who was it? I can remember. Well, actually, the first paid event I think I did for it was a wedding. It was in Troy, Alabama, and I still to this day I don't know how they found me. It might have been a Facebook page, but it was my first event. Me and my wife, and my parents, we all went down there. I had no idea what to expect. And it was probably around 200 to 300 people. And you got to imagine, this is our first time really, on a scale this large and more with more pressure. It's a wedding, so you really don't want to mess up. You only have one shot with a wedding. So, long story short, everything turned out great. The people there, they loved it. And, it was just a blessing to accomplish something like that. And that was my first aha moment that I said, you know what, we can actually do this. This is something that we can actually do. The pressure was put on, straight out the gate. And I knew if I can handle that event, everything else that was going to come next was going to be easy relative to me. So that was my first aha moment, the big scare. Okay, you're going to get thrown in the wild, and we're going to see what you got. So, we made it, and we're still here.
Man, that's for sure a high pressure situation to jump right in out the gate, a wedding, because you got that right, man. If that food ain't right, that bride finna cut up, everybody finna feel it.
You're gonna know exactly. So, it's a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. I would say weddings are more. There's a lot more pressure on wedding because that's a day that the bride, and the groom, they're gonna always remember. And so we know we had a good time because everybody was dancing, everybody was laughing. Everybody was giving us high fives. So, when you leave and everybody's happy, that's no one has to pat you on the back. You kind of see that, and you pretty much put a smile on everybody's face. So that really gave us the idea to keep going. Who knows if I hadn't did good, I'm not sure where the Smokin Wells barbecue would have been now. So, it was just, God, he just led me through it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I would venture to say God purposely put you out there in a high pressure situation to show you that you could do it. Like that's,
yeah.
Versus you starting out in a different avenue whereas you would have flourished either way. But I think that pressure, man, of course, pressure to me, it either busts pipes or it makes diamonds. And it sounds like that very first event for you, it made a diamond because everybody was laughing, everybody was having a good time because to your point, that wedding, like that's something that you never forget. But hats off to you, man, for not backing down to the challenge because you could have walked away from it too. But the fact that you was able to, stick your chest out and go make it happen, man, hats off to you for real.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So what would you say was the first dish you mastered on the grill, man? Like I know you're a beast on the grill because you come in cook fire tailgates many times, man. So what would you say that first dish you mastered on the grill?
Yeah, that's a real good question because I can remember I was living over in Village Green Apartments. I was dating my wife. We weren't married at the time, and it was Valentine's Day, and I didn't have any idea what I wanted to cook. So I went out to Winn-Dixie. There used to be an old Winn-Dixie just open over there across from Fraser Church, and I just bought a little cheap rack of baby back ribs, and I can remember I had this little small grill. Grill was so small, the ribs probably as big as the grill. It was so small, but I cooked it and she loved it. And she said, this is good. This is better than the Jim and Nick's or all these restaurants right here. So that was actually the first thing I can remember cooking that someone actually kind of said, this is good. You're better than the average barbecue cook that we always eat. We always eat from. So that was my first dish that kind of just made me start thinking, putting those ideas in my head.
Good stuff, man. Well done. You went right across the street. I remember that Wendy's right over there by Village Green. And
Yeah, yeah.
yes, sir. Nah, good stuff, man. So let's get more side to the business aspect. Let's talk about the aha moment, action, and audacity. And those are the three things I like to talk about whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself. Take me back to the aha moment when you first had the idea to take your love for cooking and turn it into a business.
Um, the first time that I think that I had that big moment was I can remember doing a family reunion for my family. And we don't have a small family. We have family from all over, Ohio, Florida, Alabama, New York. And, everybody came home to Eufaula to, to all fellowship, have a good time. So, a lot of times nobody really wants to, so it's always led up to one person doing all the work. So I think I had to cook for possibly 2 days. That was a fish fry day that I had to fry. I had to fry fish. The next day we had to do barbecue, and it's a lot of work. And I told myself, if I can make it through this, if I can get through these 2 days of basically catering for my family, I know that I can make it out there doing for somebody else. Because your family's gonna be, some family members are not gonna be honest with you, but if you got good family members, they're gonna tell you the truth. If they don't like it, they're not gonna eat. So, I would go around and look, there will be no leftovers. So right then and there, I said, well, if I can get them to eat, then I must have something that I could take out on the road and possibly make a living on. So that was really the first moment that I knew that I had something special.
Man, another high pressure situation, the family reunion. You had to throw down for the family. And like you said, family gonna keep it, well, most family, they gonna keep it real with you. They gonna be like, nah, that ain't it. But the very fact
Yeah.
that you but the very fact that you held your own at the family reunion makes a lot of sense. And I definitely can see how that would have sparked the idea, like, hey, I can do this for myself, like you said, to your point. Good stuff. So from the time you had the aha moment and you realized you could possibly take this out on the road, how long did it take you to get started in business, come up with a logo, a name, and all that good stuff?
Oh man, it seemed like it took forever because believe it or not, I sat on the fence for a very, very long time. For a very long time. You know, it was so hard really getting into the business because even if you had a food truck, you still had to find a commissary. And that part of the game was just so difficult. So it took a long time to really push myself to get out there and really say, okay, uh, this is what I didn't want to grow old and having what ifs. What if I had did that? So, me and my wife, we had a long discussion about it. And we said, you know what we're going to do is we're going to start off with this little grill, a pull behind grill that we pull behind our truck. It wasn't a lot of upfront money to put into it, but we knew if we could make it with that, then we could go to the next level. So uh, I remember buying that little small grill, paid for it, and it relatively came easy to me that I needed to take my skills to the next level, which led to me getting a food truck, and which currently led to me where I am today. So I guess the answer to your question is it took it took me a long time to figure out that this is what I needed to do. But once I figured it out, there was no turning back.
Yes, sir. No, you definitely answered the question. And it's all good. I definitely can understand you taking a while just to figure things out. And it's all good. It really, to me, it's not the length of time that matters. Like that question is always important because I'm just always curious as to everybody's thought process from the time you have an idea, how long it take you to take action. And you said something very key. And I think that's what pushes me to go at the ventures and things of that nature. Just that what if, man, that regret, because that's one thing I don't want to deal with. Like I don't want to be 90 years old looking back like, man,
Right.
what if? So what
Yeah.
if, man, that's a $1 million question, and it pushed forward a lot of great ideas, and it sounds like it was a huge catalyst for you. getting started and getting that small grill and now having the food truck. Good stuff.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I can remember. I couldn't. I couldn't live with growing old and looking back and saying, "Man, what if I had a did that?"
Mm-hmm.
You know. But I can remember now, just thinking about the question you asked. It took me, honestly, Doug. It took me probably about 2 years to actually make that jump. It took me about 2 years. Just sitting and thinking about, okay, I got to have a perfect logo. That. My wife did our first logo for our business, and she put that together relatively quick. She's good at that type of stuff. But you know, going from a logo to finding I guess I'm a perfectionist. I had to have a perfect grill. I had to have I wanted the perfect logo. I want the perfect food truck, and all that just going in your mind. That just took me probably about, I would say, 2 to 3 years, just getting that stuff just on paper and just going forward with it, man. Just it's a lot of thinking, because anybody in the food business knows that um, it's a very, very tough business. And if you're not gonna step out there and be right with it, then you might as well not do it at all.
Yes, sir, for sure. Trust me, man. I'm in the same boat in terms of being a person that overthinks, want everything to be perfect, want everything to be right. But I found something out a long time ago, Chris. It's never going to be the right time. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the right weather outside. You just got to go. And
Right.
you took 2 years to figure things out. And hats off to your wife for coming up with the logo and getting that rocking and rolling. And the most important thing is you got started. You don't have to grow old and look back and say, what if I started smoking well, because you did it. And that's really what it all comes down to. Come down to is like facing those fears, understanding like, hey, something might go wrong. And if it do, I'll learn something from it, because to be honest with you, if everything goes right all the time in our areas of our life, we never get a chance to learn. And so those are lessons that come along with the journey. And I'm pretty sure there are people sitting out there now, listen to this podcast, that sitting on an idea, overthinking, thinking it's gonna be perfect, thinking it gotta be 100% correct. And that's just not the nature of just not how things go. But I understand why you wanted things to be perfect. Like you said, in the food business, you gotta be on point. However, just like the food business and any other idea, you just gotta get out there. And eventually you got out there and you've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Yeah, just do it. That's that's the same thing I tell our kids. And like you raised a good point there. You're gonna have problems. I can't think of one time that I've been on a food event where we didn't have problems. We didn't leave something that was very important. You know, um, it's just the bumps and grinds of the business. I think any successful entrepreneur is gonna tell you, um, they have been. It's been time where they kind of probably want to quit, but you know, you just have to grind it out. You have to be a beast about it and just walk through it. And, you keep going, put your head down and just keep going. Although I can remember back to many, many nights of just staying up to, 3 or 4 o'clock, then having to go to work the next day because I'm smoking meats. That's where the hard work and dedication comes from. If you know you can stand those times and put in that much work and effort, then everything else is gonna be, when you arrive to the show, it's just everything else is simple and easy.
Yes, sir, no doubt. So you had your aha moment, and you took a couple of years to get the action, get that action portion going. So the bridge that connect those two events, in my opinion, I like to call it audacity. It takes audacity to not only have an idea, take action on it, but put it out there to the world to be praised or criticized. Who or what gave you that courage, that audacity to get started?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, first and foremost, it's been our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Um, I know, back then, I would say it was more my wife, and because she always said that that she was in it. We were in this thing together, and we was gonna just make it or break it. And I have to give her a lot of praise for being there with me, because we didn't know. And the I would say the second would be here lately. I would say during the COVID, I dedicated more of my time to just becoming closer with the Lord. And what I've learned more during this time of COVID is, the more time that I put toward my relationship with the Lord, the more things that He shows me that I need to do in my life and in the business. Because um, he's first and foremost. When I give all my time to him, then he's going to open doors for us. So I would say that I trust in the Lord, and that's where I get um, a lot of my audacity from, because I know if the Bible said we shouldn't fear. So every time I put that, I'm not going to fear anything, no matter what the circumstances are. I'm going to just keep going, and he's going to lead and guide me through whatever situations that may come, whether it's good or bad. I'm just going to trust in him through it.
Good stuff, man. Powerful stuff. Spot on. Keeping God first, and shout out to the missus for believing in you and just instilling that belief in you. And it's nothing like having a supportive spouse that praises you, but holds you accountable, and just reminds you that you can do it, man. That's amazing stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir. So Smokin Wells BBQ, you've done great things. I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are your short-term and long-term goals for the business?
Yeah, right now, short-term goals is what I would like to do is this is, with 2023 just starting out, what I would like to do is we have the food truck right now, but right now I would like to have sort of like Uber right now is Uber Eats is pretty big. It's a big platform that people can order food from. And what I'm working on is short-term goals is possibly getting our barbecue on a platform like Uber Eats or DoorDash, so people can just order from us directly, and we could have a delivery driver bring it to their home directly. So that'll free up time for us when we're at a big event and we can't make it there. They could just take it from our facility and deliver it to the customer. Long-term goals. It's a big long-term goal, but I would like to see our barbecue in. I would like to see it in some of the local restaurants. I would like to see it, well, not local restaurants, but some of the local grocery stores, like some of your Renfro's, or maybe in your Publix or your Winn-Dixie or your Piggly Wigglies. Having it shrink wrap and store it in there, and people can go in there and just buy it, just like you go in there and buy any other barbecue that's on the shelf in there. That's maybe a long-term goal that I've thought about, really hadn't put a lot of attention into it, but, it has crossed my mind from time to time. I would like to be a more of a, not gonna say international, but a U.S. Brand that a lot of more in the Southeast, a lot of the people in the Southeast would know about Smokin Wells barbecue in these southern states. And, that's just more of a long-term goal that we have.
Yes, sir. Why not? Those are some great short-term and long-term goals, and I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. As we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected with Montgomery, whether you are from here or lived here for a significant period of your life. You coming here to attend school at AUM and still residing here. I want to ask you, what do you appreciate the most about the Gump?
Yeah, that's a real good question. What excites me about Montgomery is the rich history and seeing how far it has grown. As we look back at where things came from, the city of Montgomery, I look around, the city is full of young entrepreneurs, like myself, who are not sitting back waiting on things to happen, but we are, we're making things happen, especially in the Black community where, 20 years ago, you didn't see an influence of many Black businesses flourishing as we do today. So now we have opportunities to, to push down, to pass down the generational knowledge and generational wealth and bridge that gap, which is much needed. And I also like to see the unity of, the Blacks and whites working together, to bring about change and in the city, because we only progress in unity. I think that, the more we're unified, the farther we're going to go in this culture and in the city.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I agree 100%. So, Chris, how can people connect with you? What are your social media handles and website?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Smokin Wells Barbecue. On Facebook, it's the same, Smokin Wells Barbecue LLC, and they can reach out if they want to email us, they can email us at info@smokinwellsbarbecue.com, or if they want to give us a call, they can give us a call at 334-695-2168. We'd be happy to hear from them.
Yes, sir. And of course, I'll put all of that contact information in the description of the episode. Hey, Chris, thanks again for the conversation, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, we appreciate what you're doing. I applaud what you're doing. I think this is, it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing. So, I'm going to continue to pray for you and what you're doing, man. And what you're doing is great. You're giving everybody a platform for people who, small people like myself who really not on the channel, the news channels, so I really thank you for not only myself and all of the podcasts that I've listened to. So, I appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.